Good evening, everyone. And gosh, what a beautiful crowd. An amazing, beautiful bunch of people. Thank you for being here, and most importantly, thank you for the vote that you cast that allowed us to have this celebration and that made this Monday's historic election possible. So, your GOP host from Greenville, Anderson, and Pickens counties welcome you. On their behalf, I'd like to extend a special welcome to, first of all, our veterans. Thank you for your service. And a special welcome to our speaker veterans, Maureen Bannon and Bill Frady. Next, I'd like to welcome our elected officials. I think Congresswoman Sherry Biggs, if you would stand up, thank you. Is Representative Paul Wickensheimer here? Thank you. Senator Jason Elliott, thank you. Clerk of Court Jay Gresham. Councilman Gary Collins. And Union County Councilman Danny Bright. Did I miss anyone? Oh, I did. I did. Okay. Yeah, that's Brother Prophet Jay Elliott. And I'd also like to welcome our guests from the GOP counties around South Carolina. Barnwell, if you're from Barnwell, raise your hand. Yeah. Lexington. Union and Spartanburg. Where's the Spartanburg crowd? And last but certainly not least, I'd like to welcome and thank our sponsors. Thank you. We all appreciate your support very much. And you'll be pleased to know that the Greenville County GOP was practicing Doge before it became a thing. So I'd like to especially thank NHC, Terry, and where are you, Terry? Terry, they're our presidential sponsors. And as well as the Cooper, as the Prosperity Group, Mr. Thank you. And War Room. Also, our sponsors, the South Carolina Legislative Freedom Coalition, Frank and Liz Gunther. The Jerry Tuso family, Jerry. Jay Gresham. The Cooper Law Firm, the parents of our cameraman Andrew. And Greenville Gold and Silver. Where are you, Mr. Hilliard? Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you, and again, thank you for being here. At this point, I'd like to ask Rasheen, our parliamentarian, to come up and say a prayer, and bon appetit. Okay. Get my stuff out of your way. Thank you, Ray. I'll take over. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Proverbs 14:34 tells us that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any nation. We want to take this time to thank the Lord that we can now see a return to righteousness in our country. So let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this time we have to celebrate this change in leadership in our country. Lord, none of us are perfect, not even those who we will be welcoming in to new leadership roles, but yet we turn to you. We ask for wisdom for them. We ask for you to bless them, to guide their decisions, guide their actions, and Lord, let us as a nation return back to you. We thank you now also for this food, for those who prepared it for us. We thank you for this time that we can have together to celebrate. We ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Bill has a dedicated listening audience here in the upstate, which grows larger each day. More importantly, Bill is a loving husband to his wife, Kim, and is a wonderful father and role model for his children and grandchildren. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our own Bill Frady.
Location. This is not a practice warning. This is relief from the pain. Straight Talk with Bill Frady on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
The air raid sirens were my idea. One of my first things I'm going to do in 2025 is I'm going to help Yvonne and Linda emote in front of the microphone, just so it gets out there. First things first, congratulations. Sometimes it's not about what you do, it's about what you don't do. And what you guys started not doing was you started to ignore the fake stream legacy media. I enjoy the stylings of the fake stream legacy media on a regular basis, since they are the PR arm of the Democratic Party. Now, I know I didn't see it, but by show of arms, please don't stand up. How many veterans are in here? You want to know the big thing between being a veteran and not being of the military stripe? And that's going to be focus. I was in a platoon in Europe in the 80s during the Cold War, and some of us, well, we just despised each other. We couldn't have cared less, but if the balloon ever went up, we were all going to go kill a commie for mommy. We had a single purpose, mission-focused outlook. We were told the USSR was 40 feet tall. They urinated bullets. They were undefeated, although they'd never been in a war. So, I have a piece of advice, and it's going to be worth exactly what you're about to pay for it. See, there's one overbearing problem in the United States, all over the United States today. And for you gentlemen that are in office, before I say this, let me simply say this part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. If you need some help, I've got a 100,000 watt radio signal. I go to Charlotte, I go to Chattanooga, I hit almost Atlanta, and I know somebody's from Prosperity here. You can hear my show. So if you guys start having an issue with something you're trying to do in the General Assembly or in the House, bring it on the air. Don't sit on it. It's not, why do we want to have a secret? But here's the problem that the United States faces today. Government, as is configured, has failed you. Now, we of the military stripe, we look at that and we see that and we say, oh, yes, of course they have. They absolutely have. They failed us. And we're watching. For all of you that live in the Southeast, this is the biggest corridor of concentration of military veterans on the planet. If something were to go sideways here, well, the southeastern United States will take care of its own. Now, my knees are shot. I've got arthritis all the way up my spine. It was so bad that 3 months ago I looked like Fabio. Then we got some wet weather and everything fell out. So But I'm not going to be running and gunning. I'm going to be a force multiplier. I'm going to teach young people how to do what they need to do. And I will get out there and I might shuffle and gun, or I don't know, run and shuffle, whatever I'm going to do. But look at California right now. California painted their fire hydrants rainbow colors at a cost of $300,000 without having any water in them. The bolts and the nuts and bolts of government are not present there. They have not mastered government. Government is a very basic fundamental thing. Politicians, am I right about that? A pretty basic fundamental thing if you do it constitutionally. Which, for the last 4 years, nobody's been doing that. Nobody's come close. They might have used some of the same letters in the alphabet, but that's about as close as it came. So they failed you. Right now, with the lock and load sideline, I hang out with a lot of tactical people. Thankfully, they let me, even though I'm done. But we are in a wide open posture right now. This is one of the most dangerous times the United States has ever existed. We have enough Chinese here to where if China decides to invade Taiwan, I would expect to see a whole lot of infrastructure go down, communications go down. The police are going to be overtaxed. If some of the Middle Eastern components get involved, they're going to be attacked. And it's actually going to come down to you. Amen. You will be the linchpin behind it. If we do manage to salvage that, which we will. We would salvage it quite easily. But government in its current configuration, which should change very shortly, like Monday. Monday, they're going to preempt my show for 2 hours so Donald Trump can be inaugurated on WORD's air. I've already got my popcorn and Stella Artois upstairs in the studio, and I will enjoy that. But this is just the beginning. This is not, we didn't win nothing. Donald Trump's not going to save us. The Supreme Court's not going to save us. Congress is not going to save us. Activism will save us. I do this show once a month at Upstate Warrior Solutions, and I had 3 ragtag veterans roll up on me that wanted to run for county council. And I thought about it for a moment, and I said, how cool would that be to infect the Greenville County Council with 3 veterans? And I'm not talking about, these guys weren't the mashed potato makers at the chow line. These guys were very accomplished soldiers. So I did what little I could to help them. And have you guys taken the oath already, Gary? Yeah, so you guys are in. Oh my. Sound man, they can't hear me back here.
Speak from the diaphragm.
Wouldn't that be impossible? Anyway. I guess I could raise my voice. Anyway, if you get invited by your newly sworn in Congresswoman to go to Washington, D.C., she has to pay for the coffee herself because the government can't afford it. Because they have no money. Because they have run unfettered for a very long time. Nobody watching, nobody doing anything, nobody saying anything. So, stay calm and stay resolute and keep the faith. Because it is going to boil down to the support that you give your congresspeople and your state representatives and senators so they can go to their executive branches and they can make change happen. we got to, we have what's there now. That's what we get to go to war with. We can sit around and go, well, I sure would like it if I had somebody else in that seat. That's not an option. We no longer have that luxury. It is now or never. And for the first time in a very long time, the stars have aligned, and now we have an opportunity to make it now. So, are you up to that?
Yes, sir.
Are you? Do you need a break? Do you need to take some time out? Maybe a nap or anything? I mean, when I was in the Army in the 80s, we solved everything with coffee. We didn't have night vision in the 80s. We had visual purple that was developed with so much caffeine that it permanently altered our DNA. You don't have to have a budget to be an activist. Who remembers Mick Mulvaney's race? Mick Mulvaney. Tea Party, he ran for, he was running against a guy named Spratt. I think he'd been in office for 22 terms in the House. He ran out of money, and a bunch of people from one of the organizations got out there and went door to door when he was down by 7%, and he won that election, just knocking on doors. Grassroots is the power. What's up there right now is not the power. You guys are the ones that make that happen. Now, nobody's shot a Nerf dart at me yet. Where am I out on time? Is it time? Well, I mean, I was supposed to speak for X amount of time, and, nobody likes it when they just go on and on and on and drone about it. I don't even like it. I can't even stand to listen to myself. So we hit that clock, Yvonne? Okay. So, congratulations. Quit listening to the media, because you can tell when they're lying because they're present. Monday's coming, and then apply, commit. Ask a airborne trooper what when they say commit, they jump out of the plane. They don't get to sit there and go, I might have to rethink that last decision. That's commitment. Commit. It'll work. We are still the greatest nation on the rock. And you guys facilitated the biggest political turnaround they've ever seen, ever. And right now, there's a couple of people that are on the Democratic side that are just, they're still doing the same thing they're doing. So let's not interrupt them. Let's not interrupt what they've got going on. So thank you for coming. Congratulations.
Bill, I do have something for you here. This is what we call the gift that keeps giving. Because this is an invitation for you and me and Yvonne, your wife, and whoever you want to dinner. So you can keep talking for hours at that dinner. And we would love to hear you. Thank you. We love Bill Frady, don't we? Bill Frady's got noon to 3 p.m. on WORD, 100,000 watts, and he's seen the light. He's seen the light about action, action, action. That's what we've got tonight with Maureen Bannon. Captain Mo, as she's affectionately referred to as. But I'm a big fan of Steve Bannon's show. We've got some friends that are on there a lot. I think you know Dan Schultz. He's Mr. Precinct Reorganization, the precinct strategy out of Arizona. Another West Point grad, if I'm not mistaken. I think, and a lawyer. But I've seen him a lot of times on the War Room, and we've also seen our friend, Mr. Action, 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 the Flag Shirt Company guy. Steve Stern out of South Florida. So Steve's a good friend of ours too. And I was fortunate enough, we were supposed to have another congressperson here, not William Timmons, but Nancy Mace out of Charleston was asked to come speak. So we set this up initially, obviously to celebrate Trump. And Nancy wanted to come down. Now I've got a beef to pick with Nancy and William Timmons because Sherry Biggs, Congresswoman Biggs was able to make it here, but neither one of them could. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for getting down here. It was not easy, I know, because even William Timmons we texted and I said, I don't know how she's going to get down here. So she actually flew into Charlotte and her husband drove up and picked him up and drove him down here. So thank you for the commitment. We appreciate it. I'd like to let everybody know, I think most of us here from Greenville, we know precinct reorganization is this year. 2025 is the year, right? Amen. We're going to finish what we started in 2021. One of the things we looked at, it was just coincidental, but we rolled out mySCGOP on January 21st, 2021, the day after Biden was inaugurated. 4 years. How far have we come? How far do we got to go? We got to finish it at Reorg 2025, and then we got to finish a whole bunch of other things. But here in Greenville, we're going first in the state, March 1st, 10 a.m., Saturday. Come on out. Everybody's coming out. We got seats for 2,300 some odd delegates and 2,300 some odd alternates. So we need 4,600 of you to come out for reorg. It's going to be super exciting, and our reorg chair is smiling over here because I'm giving him a big bogey. So it's going to be great. But everything is about reorg and what we're doing and what we see and watch Steve Bannon do on the national level. That's what we're doing down here in South Carolina. We all have to come together. We have to focus on our own precincts, our county, our state. Maureen and her father, message out to 50 states and actually the whole planet, because what has happened since Donald Trump was elected? The whole planet has changed. We have hope again. And you know what? We're going to take full advantage of every single opportunity they give us. And I cannot be more happy to introduce, I read her bio, and Maureen's Captain Mo's bio, political influencer. That's new, isn't it? Social media influencer, all this kind of, those type of influencers. But they're more than just influencers. They're making it happen, and we appreciate her coming down here. Fortunately, 2 of her classmates from West Point, I guess they couldn't get into the Citadel. They missed that boat, but that's all right. We do have our battle flag here, so. But I would love to introduce Maureen Bannon, Captain Bannon, if she'd come up and give us a few remarks, and we greatly appreciate you.
Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for having me. I know you're used to seeing my dad behind the camera, not me. He's the brains, I'm the beauty, so I'm just putting that one out there. And I always say I'm the prettier Bannon, especially President Trump actually agrees with me. So most of you guys don't know me because I'm behind the scenes and not in front of the camera, but I'm a 2010 West Point grad. I actually have 2 of my classmates, Anna and Maggie, here as well. And I did almost 9 years active duty in the Army as a logistics officer. And what I saw going on in the Army, even in the 9 years or almost 9 years that I was in, it sickens me to my core. The fact that when I was in company command in 2016, we had training on how to deal with transgender in the military, back in 2016. And I believe that Donald Trump did not have any idea that that was going on, from senior leaders in the military down. You would think that that would motivate me to get out of the military and get into politics. It did not. I did a few more years. I went back up to West Point. My dad tried to get me involved in politics. I said, that's your thing. You do that. I wanted to go be a nurse. I got out of the military right before COVID, and when COVID hit, it lit a fire in me. I did not want to go be a nurse. I wanted to join the family business and go work with my dad. So that's actually what inspired me to go get involved in the MAGA movement. But I knew that my service did not stop when I took my uniform off. It has continued ever since. And that's what War Room tries to inspire. And every single person that watches it, and even the lamestream media that watches us too, we try and inspire them too. Clearly some of them are coming to our side. Maybe, we'll get Rachel Maddow at some point, or Caitlin Collins, but I don't think we will. But here's hoping. I mean, you're right, we don't want them, but their viewer numbers are going down, so I do like that. But War Room's main mission is to inspire people to get active at the grassroots level, and that's what you guys have done in South Carolina and what you need to continue to do here in South Carolina in order to continue to keep the Republican Party moving forward as the MAGA movement. When Trump said that he was going to run for office again, no one believed that he would be sworn in on January 20th. Everyone thought it was a 1 in a million chance that he would be putting his hand on the King James Bible on Monday and swearing back into office. But we proved them wrong. Everyone did not let mainstream media continue to feed us lies. We went out and got active. That's what it's going to take. And I know that just because we won, everyone thinks that they can celebrate. It's an amazing event here tonight, and we can enjoy it. But that doesn't mean that we can stop doing the hard work that everyone in this room has been doing. Before we know it, 2026 is going to be here, and the midterms. And we don't want rhinos in office. We don't want Democrats in office anymore. Same thing. Almost. Did anyone watch any of the I know some of you probably did because it was on War Room, but the hearings that went on this week. That's what grassroots, those people that are being confirmed into these positions, they didn't just get there because of who they know or what they did. It was because of grassroots efforts behind them that helped them get there. So we need to continue to help them in order for them to get confirmed. We saw Democrats. I happened to be in Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing. And I saw just how badly the Democrats don't want him confirmed. They could not get over the fact that he might have made some mistakes or been falsely accused of things. They want to hold on to things that do not matter. People make mistakes. They do. People change. They deserve a second chance. The Republican Party, we are the party of second chances. We have shown that. Donald Trump, he's not a perfect person. He's not. But he is a perfect person in this position to be the leader of our party for the next 4 years until we have someone that can follow in his footsteps and continue on this movement. And I honestly hope that some people in this room join that, and I see them up in Washington. So I know it says on the board that I'm going to talk for 45 minutes. I am not my father. I don't talk that long. But I just want to highlight, and I have throughout this entire message, everyone cannot sit back and relax. You need to stay active, stay involved in every aspect of what you're doing. If it's parents' choice, school choice, veterans issues, DOD, anything, you cannot rest because that's what the Democrats will use to try and gain back power in 2026 and 2028. So we need to stay focused on the mission and making sure that we continue the MAGA movement. I don't know if you guys, if you want to do the Q&A or...
If you want to open up, one of the things we talked about was opening up the question and answer. If anybody's got any particular questions, we're a group, hear me talk too much, so I won't bore you with that. But, what they're doing and what Pete Hegseth, they wanted him gone. And what we saw at that hearing the other day, it was amazing. But it was the grassroots that kept him in there and kept him going forward. But if anybody's got questions, stand up, let us know what you're thinking, what they do. If you could tell us a little bit about how did War Room formulate, how did it start? I know you're involved with it, y'all got a couple other people. How did it start? I'm just kind of curious about it. Because I'm not an online social media guy. I'm living it on the bleeding edge, but you guys are doing the same thing.
So it started around War Room, it started as War Room impeachment, so back the first impeachment. And then it quickly shifted to War Room pandemic, and that was months before, so that was about January of 2020. Connections that my dad had from his previous job over in China were saying that they were going to cancel the celebration over in Wuhan, and they never canceled that celebration. So it was kind of, okay, something's going on that's raising eyebrows. Let's talk about it. So we got in contact with the network that we're currently on and ended up on Real America's Voice. And that's really where War Room Pandemic started. And then after, 3 years of COVID, we switched to just War Room, and now in War Room Battleground, but covering all the issues, grassroots level, local, state, federal, all the different levels of government and all the issues going on. And it's not just one area. We talk about veterans issues, the Department of Defense, the economy. So it's a vast majority of topics that we cover, and we have a lot of great guests. And clearly President Trump thinks so, because he's taking a lot of them into the administration with him.
Well, so thank you very much for being here, Maureen. So one of the things that we preach to our people, because our people work so hard, is trying to prioritize. It's like what Bill talks about. When you're doing a mission, you have to say, what's the most important thing to get done, and avoid being distracted. So what keeps you up at night? If there's one thing that you think, if I could fix this right away, what keeps you up at night, and your dad as well?
So I think he and I have probably two different things that keep us up at night. For him, there's probably a few, but one would be the economy. For me, it's veterans issues. I'm very passionate, and usually when I'm on War Room, that's what I'm talking about, is veterans issues, and that's honestly why I pushed to get a seat in that confirmation hearing on Tuesday, is because I support Pete Hegseth as the new SecDef, because he wants to get DEI and the woke agenda out of the military. And he honestly cares about our veterans. They say 22 veteran suicides a day. It's actually over 40 veteran suicides a day. We shouldn't be having any veteran suicides a day. And we need to focus on how we treat our veterans and the mental health crisis with our veterans. When I was in company command, I had 18 probably non-commissioned officers that worked for me who had at least 5 deployments each. And a lot of my friends happen to be special operators that were in the military, and they have, a lot of them have 10 plus deployments. And they come back, they're not the same person that they were before they left. And the government treats veterans like garbage. They think they use you and abuse you, and then they throw you out like the garbage they think you are. And that's honestly, for me personally, that's what needs to be fixed. And I'll die on that hill.
Thank you for being here. Besides pissing your father off, the incarceration, how did that impact him from your point of view, and how did it impact you?
And why was he tan?
So to answer that one, he was tan because he was able to walk the yard at Danbury. So he lost weight and he came out tan. I'm just saying. I said maybe you need to go back a little bit more often. No, I'm kidding. But
Silver lining, and that's what America does. It turns something horrible into something
I mean, it did help his health losing weight. So I will thank Danbury for that. But he was tan because that was his exercise, was walking out in the yard. To your question about what did it do besides piss him off, I think it motivated him. You know, he was able to talk on the phone while he was in there and have visitors and email. He did not call anyone. Let me correct myself. He spoke to his lawyers. Those are the only people that he spoke to. And he did not have any visitors. So from July 1st, when I dropped him off, to October 29th at 3:15 a.m., when I picked him up outside those doors, I did not see my father at all. So to answer your question about what it do to me, it pissed me off. It really pissed me off that we have Democrats that have actually done things that are breaking the law, and they are not held in contempt of Congress. And then that we have two gentlemen that did not do anything wrong, that were thrown in prison. And they were thrown in prison to silence them. And the funny thing is, the left thought it was going to silence my dad. No. He was emailing me multiple times a day from Danbury, but his voice was still getting heard. It was just through a softer voice. And
All of us off too.
yeah.
Captain, would it be now you know, because I just heard you describing it without going into detail. During the COVID time, if you were a moving man in New York and you were under a hoist with a piano and it fell down and killed you, if they found COVID in you, they would say, "Oh no, another COVID dead."
Correct.
Would it be illustrative and a good thing to go back and look forensically while they're saying millions of people die from COVID? I've been waiting on John Locke to do it, but he hasn't done it yet. I'm kind of thinking it was probably 70,000 people that died from COVID. But that was an experiment to see how far America would let the government take it, wasn't it?
It was. It was, and we saw just how far people would let the government go and not put up a fight. And finally, this election, we put up a fight. You know, not enough people put up a fight in 2020, and we saw what happened. And people got fed up, sick and tired, and more people that thought that the government was there to save them realized that's not the case and came over, and that's why Donald Trump had a sweeping victory. But yes, I think we need to go back and look at how many COVID deaths there actually were.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of your dad's show, and I remember him talking about, and I don't remember the details, you, and a picture he has on his mantle. Could you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so the picture she's referencing is when I was deployed to Iraq. So I was deployed in 2011 for 7 months to Iraq, and I was part of the withdrawal out of Iraq. And that picture is on a throne in a palace in Baghdad, so one of Saddam Hussein's thrones. I have a picture. And I sent it to my dad, and he had it printed, and it's on his mantle, so that's why. And he will put it up on the show occasionally, but it's
Because he has all this, the, what do you call it, the, 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 Jesus and
Mhm.
Blessed Mother, but he's got that.
All the religious stuff and then me.
Next in priority is.
Mhm. But that, I've heard my dad say, you don't know what it's like until. You don't know what it's like until you have a child deploy. I'll wait. He's like, you don't know what it's like until you have a child deploy and you have to worry if they're going to come home alive or dead. And I honestly, I never thought what my deployment would do to my parents. And you have a lot of veterans questioning, was it worth it? And we went over for a mission. We believed we met that mission. So I believe it was worth it. But that's why you have so many veterans supporting, once again, Pete Hegseth, because we need to get out of these endless wars. We do not need to be getting involved in wars and sending America's sons and daughters over and over and over again to fight for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And that's what Democrats and some of these rhinos want. They're part of that military industrial complex, and they just want to keep putting your sons and daughters in harm's way when they don't need to be. Yeah.
Maureen, first, thank you so much for your service and for
Thank
what your
you.
dad does. And I immigrated to this country when I was 3 years old. My parents were very proud to be Americans. And I missed the first Gulf War, by 2 weeks. My reserve duty ended. And the question that I have, I don't understand when the first duty that's incumbent of the president is to protect the borders of the United States, that he was allowed to, by Democrats and Republicans, to open the borders and have our nation infiltrated. That's an insult to my father's legacy. And the question, and I would ask this to your dad, how can we prevent that from happening from anyone else that would assume the highest office?
So we need to close the border immediately. And I fully support, and some people might not support this answer, deporting anyone that came in here illegally on day one. And I know that that's going to be hard to do on day one. So in the first 100 days, we need to deport everyone that came into this country under the Biden regime illegally. If you didn't do it the right way, you need to go back to where you came from.
Hi, I just want to make people aware, I used to be in medical sales in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area. Used to call my VA hospitals. And I want everyone to know, before President Trump took over the VA hospital in Washington, D.C., it was such a dump. You could get on an elevator, smell feces and urine in the hospital, and you wouldn't pay me to go there. It started improving after President Trump took office. So I just wanted to make people aware that Washington, D.C. is supposed to be our capital and the best that we have. It's not. The VA hospital there, you couldn't pay me to go there.
Well, and I just want to address that too. Actually, before President Trump came into office under President Obama, it took veterans years to get appointments at specialty clinics. President Trump lowered that. You were able to get appointments at the VA for specialty clinics within 2 to 3 months, depending on your VA. And then under Biden, but really Obama, third term, it went back up to a year. So I highly recommend President Trump go back to what he did in his first administration to reform the VA.
No, he did.
Yeah.
You could see it, like, previous to that, you couldn't pay me to go
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It was disgusting, and it was unbelievable for our nation's capital. I just want to remove you with them.
Thank you.
So what restitution should we as Republicans be asking for the J6 detainees? denied their civil rights of a speedy trial. And I want to demand.
Whether they were violent or not.
Thank you.
That they be released immediately. That's what we need.
After that, how are their lives going to be restored?
Well, one, they'll be out of prison. So, but two, being able to go back to whatever job they had prior, all these charges wiped from their records is what needs to be done. So that if they don't want to go back to whatever job they had previously, they're able to get a job because they don't have felonies for non-violent crimes.
But they should also be compensated for the time lost and for the damage to their reputation.
Is the backbone up there to do what needs to be done? I guess it's in a nutshell what everybody says. To truly do what needs to be done and not make the same mistakes as last time.
Yes, but we need more people to have a backbone up in DC.
We got the president.
Yeah.
That's all we need. If he does what he needs to do,
No, we need so.
General needs an army, and we are the army.
So and I've said this, and I've said this across different states that I've spoken to, that you need to hold your representatives accountable. So you vote your representatives into office. You do. They need to be voting the way you want them to vote. If they are not, they need to understand that they will be primaried. We saw what happened to certain representatives that didn't vote the way their constituents wanted. They were primaried. They're no longer in office. I understand that, but at the same time, you have to hold your representatives accountable. Otherwise, we're going to keep repeating the same pattern over again.
Maureen, to that point, one thing we could use are some tools to help exactly that. There's so many people who are not in this room who don't realize how bad things are. We need to give them tools, online tools. What are the bills? Who's voting on what? What's really happening, because they don't know.
So I would encourage them to watch War Room. And for everyone in this room, if you do watch War Room, share it with someone talking about being a force multiplier. Share it with someone that doesn't watch War Room or any show, any right-wing conservative show that's not mainstream media. Share it. But War Room created an app that on the Apple App Store and also Google called Bill Blaster, and it has every representative and senator's number in there, local office and DC office. So all you have to do is click it and you can call them. So once you do know about the bills, what specific bills from watching those shows, you have a source to easily go contact them so you don't have to hunt down their numbers.
And get involved with the county party and precinct rework. Yeah. That's absolutely.
Thank you for bringing up earlier how we could not be complacent come January 20th. That is just the start, because he still has, he doesn't have a magic wand. We still have people in place who are gonna fight his agenda, and they're coming out like roaches, right? We're finding out who they are. Midterms are really important. And one of the things that concerns me as somebody who escaped Connecticut is people from all these beautiful places that they're trying to take over, from Connecticut to New York, everything else. They're coming to beautiful red states like South Carolina. And they're bringing their crap with them. So, your father started his career as a strategist, and I'm assuming you have that same kind of mindset. As a strategist, and this is a trickier question because it's not a yes or no. How do we fight the strategy of the Democrats, bringing not only their money with them, but their ideology to the red states? Because that is a big problem we're fighting. I don't want to live in a purple state. I want my state to be as scarlet as O'Hara.
So you probably know some conservatives that don't get active, don't do things. They say they're Republican. They say they're concerned, but now you have to talk to them and get them involved at the local level, that grassroots level, because if you don't, that's when all these Democrats that are fleeing Connecticut and New York and Vermont and New Hampshire and California.
They're weak. They don't have a line in the sand. And we as Americans need a line in the sand. We lost our spine.
I understand that. We also have to show. No. We have to show them that they have to get involved. That if they don't, this is what's going to happen.
If they have money in the bank, they don't give a rat's ass.
I think they do.
What's the name of your precinct? Because that's what it's all about. Precinct reorg is how we move it and we move everything. Her father's doing it on the national level. We got to do it on the state level, and that's how we do it. Candace, you got a question?
First of all, thank you so much for your service. God bless.
Thank you.
Your dad, is family, and my husband and I are now involved in politics, and I want to thank you both for that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you or your dad would have done differently, or are things we do differently now? Like, what can we do to help you guys? What can we do to help America as grassroots? But basically, is there anything you would have done differently along the way?
I can't answer that for my dad, but I think for me, getting more people involved. You know, in 2020, wasn't in politics. You know, I was right around the election is when I started to get that fire and wanted to be involved. And my dad was like, finally, like, what took you so long? But honestly, getting more people involved and active in different areas. So not just veterans issues or my friends that are parents that are fighting for, you know, school choice, parents' right when it comes to vaccinating their children if they want to or not. I think I did that in 2024, but my biggest regret is not doing that prior to the 2020 election.
Maureen, can I also ask if you would please preach turnout? Because that's one of the bigger issues that we see here. And it's not just in Greenville. If you look at statistically the turnout numbers across the U.S., the number of people that actually decide races is very, very small. You know, and even in a conservative place like Greenville, our primary turnout is dismal.
It is, and that's, I've seen it, you know, I spoke in Virginia, I saw it in Virginia. Their I think turnout percent in their primary was 7%. In the district that I spoke in. And they thought that everyone else was going to come out and vote, that the primary didn't matter. It does matter. And that's how, if you don't vote in the primary, you could have a rhino sitting in the seat. Just because they have an R next to their name doesn't mean that they believe in, you know, America first and the Make America Great Again movement. That we need America First candidates, so we need to get everyone to understand that you need to vote in the primary. That's where it starts. And also making sure that we have people registered. You know, Scott Pressler, Turning Point, they did a great job this election. And making sure that it's not just certain generations. You know, we saw younger kids come out and vote. And honestly, we saw young men get out and vote in epic numbers. And that's what helped carry us this election cycle. And we saw low propensity voters. Everyone thought that it was just going to be the MAGA base that was going to win this election for Donald Trump. It was moms that were fed up and low propensity voters that had never voted before that were fed up with what is going on in this government. So we just need to keep making sure we get people registered to vote, and that should be a focus for 2026.
I come from the rural county up here of Pickens. 70% of our voters voted in this election.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that.
For the midterm.
Thank you.
These primaries done.
Mhm.
I want us to get more strength in Congress.
Yes.
We have to push for it again at the grassroots level.
Mhm.
We are so proud of what we did, and we're going to try to best it the next time. There you go.
Amen.
And this will be the last question. She's got to go. Ray, go ahead. You're it. It better be a good one, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's because of your dad and all the great people on Real America's Voice that my wife and I joined our commentary. This Rush Limbaugh for years, and God bless him. But I wanted to thank your dad for staying on the tragedy in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee just earlier this week. And Burt Kwam was up there in Eastern Tennessee, and those people are dying. So stay on it.
And actually, my dad and I had this discussion because, a few days after the fire started in California, Joe Biden said that FEMA should release funds out to the victims out there. And I said to my dad, what happened to North Carolina, Southwestern Virginia, Northeastern Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida? All those states were destroyed during Hurricane Helene, and Florida during Hurricane Milton as well. And they're still trying to recover. So we need to focus on what happened there and East Palestine, Ohio. Need to focus on that too. We cannot just go after or give money to the Democrat donors in Hollywood. That's why they were getting money released so quickly to them. But need to stay on top of our representatives because they need to have that backbone to fight it up in DC to say this is not right. The fact that they're getting money and these people are still struggling to survive. In North Carolina, it's 6 degrees. And they're intense. In Hawaii, I went out to Hawaii a year after the fires, and there are people still living in tents on the beach. Mind you, it's a beautiful place, but tents on the beach. They've made tarp homes because they can't afford to rebuild their houses. So we need to take care of all U.S. citizens first, deport illegal immigrants, and then get more representatives up in D.C. with strong backbones and not gutless either. So.
We got one more question here coming here. This will be the last one.
I'd like to say, first of all, thank you for everybody for coming. This is wonderful. The support needs to be in reorg. It needs to be, if you're complaining about what's going on, it starts in our county and in our state. Are you aware that our state chairman called us MAGA lepers?
I was not aware of that.
Like garbage, if we're not establishment, if we're not career politicians that are greasing people's pockets, we don't have a chance. We're going to change that. This new reorg.
We're leaving back South Carolina issue.
Amen. And wear that badge with honor. If he says you're a MAGA leper, you're a MAGA leper, and get more MAGA lepers to join on and get him out.
That's exactly what we've done here in Greenville. And just so y'all know, this is a dumpster fire right here, right? He said Greenville will be a dumpster fire, and this is a dumpster fire. So I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you very much for coming. Here's a small token of our appreciation. Olga has some more stuff for you. Thank you for this. We appreciate it. We want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We really appreciate all of our sponsors for helping make this happen. I've seen the preliminary numbers. We're going to make about $5,000 off of this fundraiser for the Greenville GOP. So thank you very much to our donors, and we greatly appreciate that. So enjoy the music. Have a great time tonight. Watch the inauguration next Monday. You are living in changing history and time. And right over there, part of that changing history and time, we've got some. You can take a picture right in front of the White House. So head over there, get a picture, and enjoy your evening. Thank you all for coming out.